Hello, Helen here. Welcome to another card on my channel. Today's card's a Valentine's card and I'm going to be using this new stamp that I've got called Roses All Over. It's a MFT, My Favourite Things background stamp. I'm going to be just using my normal card base, which is a 5x7 inch card. I've got a card panel and another piece which I'm going to be doing the stamping on, and then cut it out with a heart die. So I'll start off by using the background stamp, and I'll just ink up a corner just a little bit bigger than my little piece of cardboard and ink it with Versamark sticky ink, and then I'm going to white emboss it. With these big stamps it's far easier to lay them down flat on your table and ink your cardboard on top of that, making sure that you don't move the cardboard at all, so it's easier to cover it with a scratch piece of paper and rub it over, but just make sure you don't move the cardboard at all. While I've got my stamping stuff out, I'm going to stamp the little sheep that I'm going to put on the card as well. I was going to do an elephant because I've got a very cute elephant set, but I thought sheep was more appropriate for here in New Zealand, and it is rather cutie with the holding a heart, so I'm going to use that. So I'll stamp that this time with VersaFine Onyx black ink and heat emboss that with clear. Now this stamp set that's also by My Favourite Things has got some quite cute but punny sentiments in the set, so I'm going to use the U spelt E-W-E and then the rest of the sentiment that's got my heart, and I'm going to stamp that also while I'm got all the stamping gear out, and then I can emboss them all with the heat tool. To make sure I get my sentiment right with the MISTI, I've got the Simon Says stamp acetate grid sheet, which helps me line the sentiment up, as I'm notorious for having crooked sentiments. Any of the products that I'm using, if I know the names of them, will be listed in my blog. The link will be below in the description below the video if you're watching it here on YouTube. So anytime you need to check what I'm using, there's always a link there to go to my blog where a full list will be. Now that the stamping's finished, I can do the coloured panel that I'm going to have behind the heart and little sheep. So I'm going to do some ink blending. I started off using these Altenew inks, but they weren't going on very heavily, and I ended up giving up on those and reverting back to the Distress ink. So I'm using squeezed lemonade and spun sugar, and I'm going to ink them on the panel that I've got with Strathmore Bristol watercolour paper. It's a very smooth card and just absolutely great for blending. My blending is so much better now that I've started using that. So I'm just going to put on some colour, going from off the page onto the panel to start with, and just with a very light hand, and just building up the colour gradually. That's the secret with colour blending, is to not get too heavy handed, just build up the colour bit by bit, with a light hand, as I said, and just go over and over and over until you've got the colour that you want, especially where two colours meet. Just go over with both colours again and again until you've got a really nice blend. Apologies here for the filming. The camera seemed to want to focus on my hand rather than the page behind. Either that or my hand was moving too fast, because it definitely was having trouble focusing, so sorry about that. I'm happy with how the background's looking. It's nice and soft. So now I can start doing the colouring of the roses and also the sheep. Now this I'm quite excited about. I bought myself for Christmas a set of Sig Clean Colour Real Brush markers. I've been wanting these for quite a long time, and I've seen lots and lots of videos of people using them, and they just look amazing. So I finally shouted myself this set. They're just wonderful pens that are watercolours that have a brush tip to them, so they're very good for blending, and this is my first go at using them, and I was very happy with how they worked. So what I'm just going to do is put a bit of colour into the centre of each of the roses, and using a water brush I'm going to just spread the colour out a little bit, and then I've got a second lighter colour pink which I can do round the top. Now usually with watercolours you can't, once the paper's wet, you can't put another colour onto it, but with these you can, so that it was very good. I don't know whether you want to know the colours of the pens that I'm using, but I'm using light carmine and light pink for the roses. They're lovely and pigmented pens. Quite often watercolour pens are quite wish-washy, but these are just got a lovely amount of colour. I only need to colour the area where I'm going to be cutting out the heart, so I don't have to colour the whole thing in. To colour the sheep I'm going to use light grey and dark grey, and then to do the heart I'm just going to use the carmine red and fade that into the centre just to give a little bit of 3D to the balloon. I then just put a little touch of Wink of Stella clear sparkle pen just on the heart just to make it a little bit sparkly. I don't think you can see it in the film, but it just makes a little bit of a difference. I then fussy cut the sheep and heart out, just leaving a little white border around the edge of it. I also went ahead and cut out the rose background with a heart die, and now I can go ahead and put some craft foam onto the back of the sentiment, the heart and also the sheep. I went ahead and put some double-sided tape on the front panel and I was able to stick that to the card, and then once I've put double-sided tape on the craft foam of the other three components I can start putting the card together. When I'm making a card like this with just minimal components, I usually like to put the focal point towards the top third of the card. I think it just looks better than slap bang in the middle. Well, I prefer that look anyway, so I'm putting the heart down first and then putting the sheep, and I'm going to just tuck the sentiment underneath the sort of foot of the sheep, going across to the other edge of the card, and that's the card finished. I did go back and put some clear sparkling sequins just to break the plainness and make it a little bit more sparkly. I usually put sequins on my card in groups of 3, and I've just put a couple of groups there. I'm using a tool that I've got called a jewel picker, which has just got a sticky end, both ends. One's bigger than the other, and it just picks the sequin up, and you can pop it down on the glue spot that you've made. It's a little bit easier than using tweezers. Thank you for joining me for my card today. As usual, I'll have some still photos, and then at the very end of the video I'll have a couple of other videos that you might be interested in. Please subscribe if you haven't already. Give me a thumbs up if you'd like the video, and I'll see you next time with another card. Bye for now.